Hello, people of YouTube. It's Brittany and her goddess here on YouTube and elsewhere. Um, I had some funny thinking that came through, so I just have to share. For the tarot reading crowd, I think that it's generally expected that the um, the person you're reading about uh, for such is not going to see your videos. There's an element of, I don't know, it feels like attempted sneaky. And I just have to say that if you're on the, you call yourself on the twin journey, that's what you say. You say that you're trying to meet your twin flame. However, that would be categorized to you. What you mean is, you're trying to meet your romantic soulmate. You're trying to talk to the love of your life, or you're trying to do that for other people. Um, Both, in theory, will congregate at your video. Not just the woman that's there listening, not just the man there listening. Both will congregate at the video. So I know that it can be difficult trying to channel for as many as possible. Me trying to describe what it feels like when I'm sitting with my cards, or even just holding crystals and talking it out that way in front of a group, it feels different. It feels strange. And I don't mean that in a I'm being shy kind of way. Strange, like a looseness of my brain. Uh, the brain could just rattle around in my skull at that moment. It's a different feeling from when I'm sitting with my cards by myself or my crystals by myself. It's also a different feeling from when I'm reading for one person, talking into one person. Until it gets into hours. If I'm reading straight for hours, then the brain loosens then too. But usually that's also because if reading for someone for hours, I can just about guarantee you that a person can chit chat about a variety of things. It might start off as being a love reading, or it might start off as being about career or just moving to a place. But it's going to start to deviate into different things and have different factors. Like it starts with where should I, uh, no, okay, I'm choosing between uh, three different locations. And could you tell me which of these three locations would be most ideal. And maybe the person tells you the locations, or maybe they don't. They're just like, you're the psychic person. You describe the places. And that first question, that's easy. Then that was so accurate. That was so enjoyable. Can you tell me more about the job that I'll have at that location or between these locations? Now, can you compare the job forces? The additional element to that question is pulling in multiple people now, plus the person being read for. Because when I was doing some fast paced readings here, I'm not asking them too many additional questions if I can get away with it, because I'm trying to razzle dazzle. So, um, factors going in are, what would they like? What would make them happy? And I don't know the person. When people are asking about a job, there's multiple things that they can be inquiring about. It could be the pay, it could be the boss, it could be the location, like what is it in proximity to? Some people, it doesn't really matter. They're just like, I would be fine commuting someplace if I really enjoyed the job, or no, I want to be right there. Like right there. That would be fantastic. And feeling a way about your boss is there's differences in preference and care. Anywho, something that occurs with readings uh, is if you have a particular bias, your your slant starts to come through. And this is collaborative efforts. People that sit in for reads, like, yeah, it's a thrill because you can start to hear where a person is going. And they're not supposed to know you from diddly squat. But one, different people have different degrees of awareness. Two, they might have been focused in a particular direction before they started the reading. So imagine, this is why when it comes to my internet usage in this wide world of internet, there's so many things you could be looking at, so many things. My my eyeballs kind of stay in a certain area. Free range within that area, but I'm kind of narrow, and some may think that like everyone is like that, but no, some people will go from like one thing to another thing to another thing, and there's something there's something that's linking the thoughts together, but it could seem pretty random. Pancakes, BBLs, patio. That would go together somehow, some way in my brain or for who I say it for. But that could seem random. But in terms of my eyeballing, it'll be like stack of ASMR videos, some supernatural stuff. Supernatural can go in the direction of ghosts or aliens. Uh, it's wild because it's like, and I feel a way. It's like, I'm sorry, crochet folk, if any crochet person happens upon this video and knows that I've subscribed over on the TikTok, just like, you don't watch my videos, never, whatever. I think what happened was when I was first learning to crochet, like I really needed to see what was possible. If you're just getting into crochet, this might seem like a little detour, but hang with me for a second. Uh, it it could seem like crochet is just like one way, like, oh, you make blankets with crochet, like you knit blankets, you could crochet a hat, a scarf, like it seems like it's just that. Getting into it, into like the community aspect of crochet for a second, I saw, oh, you can make anything. You can make pants. You can make sweaters, vests, slippers, couch cushions, chair covers, whole what's it called? It's like a face mask. It's like a face mask with a hat attached. You can make things like that. You can crochet socks. Just you can make anything. Once I found out you can make anything, I felt better, and then I was just like on my way. I just needed to know. And I support the the creative folk that are doing it. Some might have seen me follow and unfollow a bunch of journal people. I kind of needed to see some range because when people think, oh, journaling, like it's just words on the page, I had started freestyling in my journals. And I kind of wanted to see if that's a thing. And then I got overwhelmed / intimidated by the fact that, wow, there's people that make whole journals and they haven't written in them. Like it's not going page to page writing stuff in it. It's make the thing beautiful and then sell the beautiful journal for someone else to write in. But also finding out that some people don't even write in those journals. They buy the beautiful journal and just collect. I'm like, oh, wow. Well, now I'm irritated because look how beautiful these freaking journals are, and there's so much money put into it. I'm like, holy heck. I'm never showing you guys my journal. I'm not showing you guys anything. And every time uh, you join some sort of community, anything, it's like, what are you here for if you don't want to show anything? And I'm like, I'm just a level above, maybe 2 levels above ultimate sneaky. Like, there's the sneaky level where there's a totally fake name. Like, just, it's a fake name or whatever. That's the sneak page. They don't use the real name. They don't talk to people. No comments are left, that kind of thing. Or they leave comments, but it's 100% the sneak page. And then there's the people that it's their real name, but maybe they don't post anything. They just follow, subscribe, maybe drop likes, maybe comment, but there's no content on their page. Then there's folks like me that is just like, you might see me for real. Buying my name, my face, me posting videos or some form of content, but I'm not entirely participating in communities. I consider community participation as being like you go back and forth between pages. You talk to someone from your page, they talk back to you from their page. You get tagged. Tag your it, post this or that type of content. And that only applies if you're doing like the same thing. That's the issue. If you join the scrapbooking community and you never post anything of your scrapbook, then it's just like, what the heck? That person's not in the community. They're not here. It took a while for me to see, well, some people do get included still with no posts. But the internet, the vibes of the internet change really quickly now. In some ways, it feels really vast, but in other ways, it's kind of small, like high school, kind of small. Even if you went to a big high school, like it's still small. I'm thinking about um, my my college that I went to for 2 and 2. I was in and out of there like Kanye West. The the school is not known to be a small college. Wasn't a super huge one either. I don't know. I'm like, what was it at? Was there like 40,000 folks or so? Uh, anyway, not an especially small college by any stretch of imagination, but after the initial uh, couple weeks, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks at school, it doesn't feel so huge anymore because you see people start to pair up. Some people already live in the town, in the city, so they know people that chose to go to the school that was in the same town. people have met people from their classes, and so they're hanging out with those people by then. All of us, like from the dorms, like if you're going to make some friends, you made a friend or two, whatever, you made a couple friends. By then, to walk around with clubs have already gotten started by that point, and sororities and fraternities were rushing at this point. So the college starts to feel smaller, where there's Greek life, there's club people, people that are in different academic clubs that are a part of the campus. There's the people that are friends from classes or dorms. And then there's people that are just here to go to college. And they might not talk to anybody, really. Outside of any chit chat that might occur inside a classroom, they're not really there to talk to anybody. They go to college, they go back home to their parents' house or to their apartment, whatever, and they call it a day. In these vast interwebs, that's how it feels like. But it's an unlimited time frame that you can jump in. You can jump in to a club, jump in to a community whenever. With the exception of like when people have a program date, like, okay, art classes are starting in September by a particular person. It won't be all of art class on the internet, but I'm saying an artist might have an art class that starts at a certain date, and you have a certain amount of time that you can join before it closes for that season. And in that patch of internet, there's a little community. But you can be a free range person on the internet if you want to be, or you can be a part of something. And there's also people that might appear to be free range people on the internet that more or less uh, get support by people that aren't participating on the internet. Maybe have internet service, but not really on the internet. So, yeah, maybe those people show up in the person's content, or maybe they're hidden from view. But there's that. What does this have to do with um, where I'm coming from on this here chit chat about the slant of reading? What you're again? You know what card I pulled if you have the Thoth Tarot. Um, it is like what you're witnessing when you see me read is more or less blind reading. In the same way that you might see a TV psychic person being driven to a place and they're not told where they're going or who they're going to be reading for. That's the premise behind the show. and you hear what impressions they get from the card, there's sometimes an idea that people that do public readings, ah, like when you encounter somebody that sounds remarkably accurate, you're like, oh my goodness, like they're so on for me. Either you're gonna believe right off, like, oh, they're super psychic, or you're gonna think they're watching into their crowd. I came from reading it on apps with like hotline reading, and believe it or not, if you haven't gotten a read from a psychic app, we don't have time. Even if we could, we don't have time to try to look people up, but also we're not given the information to look someone's social media up. Like, it's literally not allowed. So most of the time, you don't have a picture. You might not have a name. You might not have a birthday. You might not have an astrology sign. You've got a question, and you might not have a question. Some people demand different things, and different bits of information are allowed to be shared. But it's still not going to be enough for you to sit there and look all sorts of people up, even if you wanted to try to do that. So when I'm chit chatting in public, not particularly feeling like I'm a part of any community, I'm just on the internet and I'm aware that I'm eyeballs. I'm aware that there's eyeballs in my direction that I'm not consciously looking in. It's like, where did you come from? How did you find me? What is the connection here? But I can't really worry about it. Because sometimes people don't want to be pointed out too bad. Sometimes people are just in a read or in the readings for entertainment purposes only. They're not even expecting to be hit up in a crowd, especially if there's a psychic person with a huge crowd. I remember there was this one chickadee that I subscribed to years ago, and she's into mermaids. It's like I knew right off. I'm just like, oh, she's not saying it explicitly, but we're oriented in the same kind of spiritual direction. So awesome. I love it. And her follower count was high. And yes, of course, people can make their page look as popular as they want to make it look. But she also had a significant amount of engagement in her comments. She also had a decent amount of activity at her Etsy shop. Excuse me. She also put a significant amount of funding into her production. So I'm like, well, money got to come from somewhere. So whether she's got a lot of client activity or a man that believes in her, or family that believes in her and has put money into her tarot business endeavor. But anyway, I came through to sit and listen to read, and I was flabbergasted. I knew at this point in time, again, I'm saying this is years ago, I knew, I was consciously aware of my invisibility on YouTube at that point in time. So I could pop up in someone's read and they literally, unless you see me with your psychic eyeball, don't know who I am or that I'm up in there. So anyway, her readings hit strongly. And I got to witness, this was very therapeutic for me because I was getting to see a real psychic person, for the most part unstressed by channeling in public. Usually didn't show her face, but every now and again did. She wasn't necessarily hiding her identity, um, but comfortable being her. There's numerous people that I've run across that have demonstrated to me a degree of comfort while still being extremely psychic folk. And I witnessed it when I would see them when they did get it a little ruffled up, a little bit flabbergasted, when they start to feel or be conscious of who they were reading for or about. We get this stuff in different ways. Like different people get it different ways. Uh, so be aware of that, because some people, and this is a mean side of psychic work, some people like to or try to make people nervous when someone does feel a little nervous, feeling like a psychic person knows everything. Like, whoa, you knew something so specific about me without knowing me at all. Do you freaking know everything? Like, what else do you know? Ah. And I guarantee you, even the most psychic person, mediumship oriented person, does not know everything and can veer off into inaccurate a little bit every now and again. Does that mean they suck or they were guessing or whatever? No. It means that either a bias started to creep in to a read where they start to feel like they know what they're talking about, and so you start to follow a certain trail. Um, yeah, I'm just like, that's pretty much it. I'm like, pretty much it. A bias starts to creep in, and so there you go. You think you know what you're talking about, and so you follow a trail, and it's like a person has. It's like in a conversation when you started to just freestyle it and go off in a bunch of subjects. And if there was a mission for the conversation, or you're having a conversation in public, like it's for a podcast or something, then of course you have to go back, like you have to stay on topic. And when reading for somebody, it's the same thing. you can start to go down the dusty trail of what's it called? Like free association. You can start to go down a trail that your mind thinks up, and the person has to be like, whoa, whoa, okay, nope, bring it back, bring it back now. So anyway, yeah, I really needed it because uh, although at first my tarot reading was about just spiritual and psychological help, um, the who I'm chit chatting with became more and more important. Just a natural thing that started to occur, and whereas some people have no problem accepting that and being very happy, some of us can be like, whoa. And this is why I have an issue like with across communities. This is across the board because there's a lot of believers upon the earth, and so if that's your vibe, that's your wave, is that the art that you do is to serve this squad, then you might take issue with how personal my relationship is. And because of what I've said, what I've put out there, which was necessary, because like, well, what the heck? Thing is, I was not on the planet when it was said that this was going to occur. And I'm consciously aware that there's plenty of time and instance where I have not been paying much attention to what's going on with humanity. I think that a lot of people that do believe in life after life kind of imagine that it's just like, oh, like, you don't expect you don't expect everybody to be watching for you. Yeah, I don't expect that. Um, but some people through history, people hope that we stay listening, like at all times. And no, just like just like I've said in different spaces, It's like a throne that you don't see people getting in and out of. The throne is speaking. And so the confusion about who has stayed, who stayed on the earth hidden, who stayed with humanity hidden and been answering. Because people that are religious, and not just by doctrine, like not by just text or study, but by experience. Because psychic people aren't just in the psychic crowd. There's psychic people that are in the religious crowd. And they might say it like God said, the angels say. They might say stuff like that. Or they might not be so open about it. But they're psychic people. People that have experienced a high degree of accuracy for other people, for themselves, know that they're having chit chat because the intel is not what they were aware of. You can't know what you don't know. So as I have put out some confusing intel, all I can really say in assistance to try to clear that up is that there's been some confusing press. There's some stuff that has gotten mixed up in what is considered to be official documentation and also public relations, just people saying that they know what they're talking about. But it's for a certain agenda to create a certain perspective. So I'm very glad for the people that have put it together, whether it's been through text, official historical documentation, thinking it through, or being psychic, or a combination of these things. They've come to the conclusion that, oh, these otherworldly beings are the religion. It's both, it's not either or. The spiritual beings and the aliens, it's not that separate. It's quote unquote the same. And so then wouldn't you change your wording? Wouldn't you have a little different kind of way of categorizing? Of course. Well, most people Not everyone. Just like when you discover some uh, I don't know, some failings of uh, of your parentals. At one point, or for a good amount of time, it's just like you expect your parents to just always have it together. And at whatever age, because I'm like, for some people, it's really young. They're little kids, and they're just like, you know what? I think my parents suck. They're just like, my parents be messing up. For others, it's early adulthood. You start to realize what your parents were dealing with at the age that you hit. Sometimes it's when you have your kids, you're like, wow, woo. Whether you think your parents hung in there pretty well, or your conclusion is they suck. Uh, at any rate, for some people, seeing any sort of discrepancies or problems can ruin the whole respect sort of thing. And others, it's called no matter what, I'm going to respect them as parents or as elders. It's what you're going to do. So, as people are just like, so are you saying the angels are that spinny wheel thing with the eyeballs? Are you saying that they're just light balls? The angels are the light balls that we catch on camera sometimes? Don't tell me that the gods are these gray aliens. Is God a really tall, big, bald, gray alien? Oh no. What would you do if that was the answer? Throw rocks? Like, what are you gonna do? It's my question. Uh, I. What if God's a squatch? God looks like the biggest squatch. Like, what? The oldest squatch. What are you gonna do? I'm like, seriously? This is where my sensitivity kicks up. I get just ruffled in my feathers. I'm like, so when you wonder why there's so much that humanity gets, like, you get glimpses, or it's like, someone's there, you know you get a flash of a glimpse, but they stay away in their stories. Why? Because as soon as humanity is aware of life, like, oh, so if they're alive, then they could be killed, right? Okay, so then they go for it. Not everyone, but a lot of folks be acting ridiculous. But at any rate, there's a threshold for how bad humanity can behave on a planet that isn't just for humans. It's not just the human playground. So you can't just throw a big cosmic tantrum and say, because you can't rule the place, you can't control everything and everybody, things are getting out of hand, so you just want to destroy it and go someplace else. Not allowed. And it's been said, it's been decreed that there wouldn't be any more entire wipeouts where who can flee the scene, who's able to survive gets to live, but for the most part, it's a wipeout. Like, in general, like generally speaking, it's like no more of that. What do I mean by saying generally speaking? When we witness things that significantly take out a volume of people, sometimes that's a spiritual thing and sometimes that's a human being thing. But just about 100% of the time, it's blamed as a spiritual thing. Except for by the people that say they believe in nothing. It's like, I don't believe in none of that. I believe that my consciousness came in when I was born. And I am the brain in the skull. All right. Um, which leads me on an interesting, is like sidebar for just a moment. The debate about when consciousness starts. Does it start in the ball sack? At what point in the womb? Does it start when the baby comes out? I'd say 100% of pregnant women that have ever had a baby would say that no, it's live. There is consciousness. There is a personality while in the belly. Yep. At what point during tummy time? I'm a person that visited Bodies, the exhibition. I saw the exhibit. And in that exhibit, one of the things, it was all human cadavers and different parts of humanity where you could see nerves, you could see different organs, you could see all that stuff. And one of the exhibits was fetus from different periods of time. Like from the beginning, from the beginning of you seeing a sprout to just about fully cooked. just about everybody that knows, like, when a stomach is large, like, okay, that's a whole human in there. But in early weeks, any of the weeks that are below the legal threshold for abortion, people, well, a lot of people say that ain't no baby yet. But I saw it, I was like, whoa, that's a little sprout, that's a little baby. So at that point in time in my life, I had made a decision that I, because I had been pro decision making, and I still am. I'm like, you know what? It's your life. It is your mind, your consciousness, what you can live with and carry on with. Because you have a child, you're the parent for life. And more than just your life. You have once upon a time been a parent to this person throughout eternity. I'm just like, think about this. For the believers, for the ones that know reincarnation to be true. Once you have been someone's parent, you have been their parent. Period. No one can take that from you. Even the kid, I'm done with you. Fine, but you're not. So, these are things that we end up working out, experiencing differently through different lifetimes. You're not always in the same positioning. You're not always parent child. You could be friends. That could be your boss. That could be your sibling. So, anyway, but I made a decision that I wouldn't be doing any abort of mission past like a plan B. And I was at an age where it's just like a certain time in my life where I wouldn't have done plan B either. But that's not a judgment from me against those that would do, have, what have you. I'm just saying that decision making is very much tied to awareness. So anyway, bringing this all back, bring it in now. pull it all together. People slant for reading can go where they think that they're trying to go. If they think that there's a direction or start to feel like there's a direction, it might start to go down a trail. That trail can be personal or attached to someone, and at first it was attached to one person and then they move around, because that also happens. Which again, you watch readers, you can see like, oh, they had my story right, and then they totally went off into a ditch. Probably not. They probably didn't go in a ditch. They might have switched to someone else in the audience. Or something that is personal to them might have been an attachment in the brain. And it's going to hit for somebody in the crowd. There's a reason for everything being said. There's a reason for the whole thing when you're dealing with a channeling person. Um, and I'm very aware that one of the things that I'm doing here is bringing people together that otherwise would not consciously deal with one another or think about certain things. People that would think they're kind of set in their ways, like I know this or that. Well, there's different crowds, different demographics that are like, I know. And I personally fixate on the I know crowd from experience. You can like back it up with study, back it up with teaching and stuff. But experiential folks are major to me. Like, woo! I don't know what's going on, but I know ghosts are real because I saw me some apparitions. Okay. That's different from the people that are just like, I heard this, that, this or that, or I read this or that. That's fine. But I'm looking at the folks that are just like, I have witnessed this and that. Some people are just like there's people that act up. Well, if you use your sensitivity and not just your bias or your fear to navigate, then you know who's acting up and who's just relaying a story. And there's a lot of people that have experienced things. So they have a certain awareness, but they don't want to talk because they don't want to be called liars. They don't want a whole lot of fanfare. They're not trying to get famous. They don't want to be called liars. They don't want to be called crazy. They don't want to get in some sort of trouble. So they just don't talk. But they know something. They are aware of something. And I love that. And if there's something that I can do, even if that's letting you know that even though you might be aware of some suffering that I have incurred because of my talking, I'm telling you that one, you can survive that. Two, it was part of my personal plan. So what happened with me doesn't mean that's going to happen with you. And that it's time. That's another thing. The third thing is if you think of war, you think of battle. Some people want to go to war. Some people don't want to go to war. But regardless, if the people that want a war start a battle, there's got to be fighters on both sides. There's something. There, even if an end to battle is quick. There is usually some sort of casualties or damage that is incurred. I'm thinking about how just like not everyone's a fan of any of the U.S. presidents, but we're coming up on July 4th, so um, thinking about how Lincoln, as the war went on, that he thought about the losses on both sides, even though clearly his side got a win. He's just like, technically, both sides are my side. That's the goal. The goal is not to lose one side of the country. The goal was expanding the country and focusing on one battle at a time, one issue at a time. He's just like, I can only manage so many people, so many problems amongst people at a time. And right now, we're having a slavery versus no slavery issue. We'll deal with other things at another time. So anyway, um, my my focus is on the rise in consciousness of humanity, the blending of being on this planet, making it more safe to be visible, having tolerance where tolerance can be had. Only fighting where one is bringing a fight. If someone insists on fighting, it has to get shut down. But this is why I bring it up to people. I brought it up in a recent video that it's like bringing a steak knife to a laser fight. There's a cosmic battle, but every being is not the same. Because there's sharks in the ocean. That doesn't mean you just see a whale and blow it apart. The whale is minding its business. Shark might have been interested in chewing on your leg. But does that mean every shark? Also, no. Being mindful that everyone, everything consumes in some way, reproduces or makes more of oneself some sort of way. And that's natural. So before human folk get their guns out, ready to kill anything that's different, there has to be an awareness of where one is at. Because if you're in the position to kill somebody dead with ease, yeah, they're more docile than you, or you're more advanced. you're ahead. So there's not a reason unless they're bothering you. I'm not gonna go into the forest killing wasps unless the wasps start chasing me. Now, if the wasps attach themselves to my house, well, it's going down. It's going down. Choose somewhere else to be. You can't mind your business at my house. Your business is not here. But yeah, you get the point. You get the point. Uh, this is wild. I'm just like same card for the ending of the last video. Uh, yeah, I think I've summed up everything. We're all living, figuring out our place or being aware of our place, trying to share some space where we can, trying to be as cooperative as we can. Yeah, change is afoot. So, all right. If you made it this far in this video, I appreciate you. I'm sending lots of love your way and many blessings on the journey. See you in the next one.